I'm Rick, and I'm building Billy. Today I want to talk about varnishing and finishing this spear gun. The final quality of the finish depends very much on the quality of the prep work that you do beforehand. The first thing I did was to remove all the hardware and other bits and pieces from the spear gun. Put it all in a bag so it wouldn't get lost later. The gun was previously immersed in seawater for the ballasting and balancing, and so it was covered in salt water, so I rinsed it down with fresh water and waited till it was completely dry. To seal it before ballasting and balancing, I'd coated it with penetrating epoxy. I sanded the outside surface with 120 grit sandpaper, being careful to avoid the white paint removing sandpaper. After sanding, I removed all the dust, first by brushing and then by rubbing it down with a rag. Spear gun has a name. It's called Billy, and I wanted to put this on the outside of the gun. I like to sign each gun that I do too. I used a sharp-ended, felt-tipped pen to do the sign writing. This time, this pen held spirit-based ink. The varnish I'm going to use for the final coat is oil-based. While it's drying, the oil-based varnish could blur the writing of the spirit-based ink, so the sign writing needs to be sealed before the final varnish coat goes on. To do the sealing, I used a single coat of water-based polyurethane varnish. Water-based varnish doesn't take long to dry, and after it had dried, it was time to put the oil-based polyurethane floor varnish on top of it. There's a variety of finishes you can put on a spear gun, but I like two-pot oil-based polyurethane floor varnish. It's not too difficult to apply. After a sign, it sets rock hard, and it has some measure of ultraviolet resistance too. There's a big variety of other finishes, and they've got their pluses and their minuses, but the two-pot floor varnish is my personal preference. I mix the varnish according to the instructions on the tin. I applied the varnish with a cheap brush that I got from a $2 shop. I hung the spear gun from a wire hook that I'd made from clothes hanger wire and put an old piece of cardboard underneath it to catch any drips. When you first brush it on, you push with the brush a little bit, and this puts a thick layer of varnish on. Then after that, you use the tip to spread it very carefully. Once the entire gun was covered, I left it to hang overnight to let the varnish set, and I left it in a dust-free area. In the cold light of morning, I inspected the gun and I looked for any drips or any bare areas that I might have missed. If that first coat's good, no drips, no bare areas, I'll leave it, I don't touch it. But, as is usually happens, I've missed some spot somewhere, or there's a bit of a drip somewhere or a bit of a run. I just start again. I take it down with 120 sandpaper and revarnish it. I repeat this till it's right. In this case, it took me 2 times. Sometimes it takes as many as 4. The shiny surface left by the varnish looks really good, especially when you can see the grain of the timber through it. But it's slippery, and that's especially true when it's in water. If the handle slips when you're tracking a fish, you might miss the shot. If the butt slips during loading, you might end up with swollen testicles and painful testicles. So I put a layer of anti-slip on the butt and on the handle. Once the varnishing and finishing were done, it was time to start thinking about the rubbers and the rigging. But that's a topic for another video.